Sign any kind of
No, read this
I got
rest.
to get you on
What's up,
Street
brother?
road repair.
Alright, long week.
In front of the storage place, over the
Busy.
one they have. Would.
It's busy, busy.
You know, I know what they.
We ready?
We are live.
Okay, I'd like to call this finance and legislation meeting to order. Mr. Beagley? Here. Ms. Skoman?
Here.
And Mr. Burnside's here. We have two guest speakers here tonight. I'd like to welcome, I'm gonna have them speak before we go into the legislation. We have Ms. Lisa Lee Kohler, President of League of Women Voters of Greater Youngstown, and Mr. Trevor P. Martin, Program Coordinator, League of Women's Voters, Greater Youngstown, and I'll let you decide who goes first.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for having us here. One of the things that is most important to the League of Women Voters is that we defend democracy and empower voters and make sure that everyone has equal representation under the law. And we started a little project, which I'll let Trevor give you the ins and outs of, but what we discovered is that there are many cities in Ohio that have not reapportioned their districts, their wards, in quite some time. And it's not anything that we discovered was like a big, oh, we don't want to do this. It's that somewhere along the way we didn't know we had to do this. So we looked at several places across Ohio, and your Fair City is one of them, and we happen to have a little expert on the subject at the League, and that's Mr. Trevor Martin, so I will just introduce him, and thank you all for having us here.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks.
Thank you. I did want to say we also have a resident of Struthers here who's also a member of our League of Women Voters of Greater Youngstown, Emily Wire. Thank you for joining us. And thank you for having us. My name is Trevor Martin. I'm Program Coordinator for the State League of Ohio in Columbus. The League has been a grassroots organization for over 100 years. In everything we do, we put voters first. And so, our big interest here is to really involve the residents of Struthers in these decisions and policy matters. For the last 5 years, I've been traveling the state of Ohio, working on redistricting, for our congressional districts and our legislative districts. But in the last couple of years, we've kind of looked more locally, and I've discovered an issue with malapportionment among city council wards in some of the communities across the state. A lot of these communities, like I said, we have members, and we're a membership organization. We have over 3,500 members throughout the state, and I kind of sent out a little, this is the issue. Could you take a look at your communities and get back to me? We've got a few up here. I'm in Warren. I'm also in Alliance, and your fair city of Struthers here. And as Elisa said, this isn't something that's in the job description that's right on the plate when everybody comes in. It only happens usually once every 10 years when that decennial census comes out. And so unfortunately, it's kind of fallen under radar, and there's quite a few circumstances and municipalities that have gone a couple decades without reapportionment. Now, our main goal and focus, again, is to bring in voters and residents of the city to participate in the kind of decisions that are being made. Being that sometimes, depending on population shifts, whatever lines you draw here in the near future could be your ward lines for the next decade, 2 decades, 3 decades, depending on kind of population movement. And so we really want this to be a deliberate process where we invite citizens and residents of Struthers to kind of participate, educate them on why this needs to be done, what it means to them, day-to-day lives, how this affects them.
I'm just trying to clarify, so there's basically an imbalance in our population of voters for the wards, is that correct?
Right,
Okay,
and I've got some handouts if you know, I should have.
Can I ask you how that affects voting? Because everybody pretty much votes for the same thing except for a ward. So how does it affect that because mine has the least amount of voters in Ward 1. So how does that affect how the city votes as a whole? And I don't see how that affects it.
and is this made up of population for these wards, or is this made up by registered voters?
This is population.
Population, okay.
There's been a number of cases that ran through the Supreme Court, and total population is the.
Sure, and as I would assume it should be,
Yeah, right.
You know what I
Because
mean?
You represent all the
Absolutely.
residents here, and so, and to your concern, it really is about that one person, one vote, the 14th Amendment, that equal protection. When you have that imbalance, local redistricting really matters because, the priorities of this council, really come from your voters. And so when you have that imbalance, sometimes the priorities of council might not reflect the priorities of the city at large. You have, it affects the balance on council and what kind of accountability each council member has and what kind of representation that your constituents have. When that's thrown out of balance, it's kind of the bedrock of representation. Equal population is kind of like the number one priority when it comes to redistricting. It's protected under that 14th Amendment. And then also Ohio Revised Code, section 73106, requires substantially equal population. Now, as I had mentioned earlier, there was a number of cases starting in 1962 with Baker v. Carr that brought redistricting under the umbrella of that 14th Amendment, and there's been a series of cases, Simmons and Avery Midland, that there's kind of been a consensus on this local redistricting that the lowest populated ward and the highest populated ward, that deviation between the two shouldn't be more than 10%.
Okay, so there is a standard that they put to the revised code that we would have to follow by.
According to the Supreme Court, any deviation or malappropriation above 10% is considered unconstitutional.
Okay.
Under
so-
the 14th Amendment Equal Protection Clause.
Sure, so we have two on here that are,
29.
we would be in violation.
It's well above the 10%
Sure.
threshold.
Okay,
And that 10% needs to be, between the lowest and the highest. So,
so we have
If you
we're
had that-
23.
yeah, if you had that, say, 7.8%, that means in the other direction, you couldn't go more than 2 point,
Sure, right,
to have that 10%.
right, where our variation.
So how do you actually figure out what has to be changed?
Well, the census gives us, population numbers. There are shapefiles for census blocks, and so this is the kind of like lowest denominator. The building blocks of precincts and districts are these census blocks, and they range from anywhere from 0 people to over 1,000. It's usually typical city block. And so, there's these shape files that the census will give them to you in a kind of a spreadsheet, but there's mapping software that'll kind of translate those shape files into a map. There's paid programs like Esri and Maptitude, but there's also a free program called Dave's Redistricting app that a good probably half of the states use in their redistricting processes, and a lot of municipalities and the counties as well. It's free, open source, very user friendly. It was used during the state's congressional and legislative mappings, in the Ohio Redistricting Commission, whenever they, proposed maps and presented those to the people, those links were all through Dave's redistricting. Gives you for each census block, gives you how many people are there, how many are citizen voting age, demographics, even the economics and education, all that good stuff. But then you'll take that program and you can, shift those, kind of draw into that, until you get that kind of magic number. And you could do that. I was, in the last couple of years, we assisted with Cleveland's redistricting process, proposed a few maps, did some testimony up there, some analytics for the community. For the last year, I've been down in Nelsonville, Ohio, and Athens County. They had voted to abolish their charter government and go back to a statutory form, and so they needed to create 4 wards. And so over the summer, we held a series of public town halls, and we brought citizens and residents in to learn about the process, to see how it would affect them, and why these decisions were being made. And then we actually did 3 open mapping sessions where folks actually got to say, well, what if we move this here? What if we move that there?
I guess
This community,
I
this
just
is
don't
kind of a
understand
neighborhood
that
that we
portion.
wanna keep
Yeah.
together.
But the
We're only
hard part,
based off of population though. It's not, right? This is based off of population.
Right.
It's not based off of anything else.
Not square miles.
not a voting.
But not how you vote, it's not based off of your income, it's not,
But the
So
thing is,
I-
so how are these people gonna know that you changed their ward? It's not gonna affect these 3 over here
Yeah.
are not affected.
right, we have nothing to do with
We
it.
are affected.
Yeah, we are.
So you're taking my constituents and putting them somewhere else when I've worked with them for 7 years. So how do you do that and justify it? Because I don't find that to be fair.
Yeah, well, that's why we'd like it to be an open, public, transparent process, because it needs to be done. It needs to be done,
For us to be in
to
compliance.
be in compliance with,
Yeah.
14
So what
Ohio
is,
Revised Code.
what
But
is,
the best way to do it, is to bring
I mean,
your
people do
constituents.
have to be aware. I mean, there's gonna be a lot of
Exactly.
changes. They're not gonna know what ward they went to. Some people don't even know what ward they are in now.
Right, and a lot of times, these wards, these precincts, you'll have voting locations tied to those.
but
So
we
not
don't,
only are you moving
Yeah,
folks.
yeah, we have
only
a
have-
central,
We
yeah.
don't.
Well, that's a good thing, so they
Yeah.
won't be their lives won't be disrupted too much, but a lot of times, folks have these voting preferences and patterns,
Yeah.
and when you
But they still go
now
to
they
Sonoma
wake
Valley?
up and they have a
So
new
they still go to
voting
Sonoma
polling
Valley.
location and they don't know about it. And that's why we like to be a public process where folks actually get some feedback
But
before those
How
decisions
long
are
is
being
this
made.
gonna be and when is that gonna be done? Because like we vote again in May.
So
But
this,
Huh?
I'm sorry.
no, you're fine. Go ahead.
Well, the maps.
I mean, I'm
are-
sorry,
are-
not this May,
Right,
next
fall.
May.
And the maps need to be passed 150 days before that May primary. So I believe it's December 5th.
So you need councilmatic action on that to pass the maps, correct?
Right, an ordinance needs to be passed and take effect before
What
December 5th.
what is the time frame for maps to actually get, completed and divvied up?
You've got some time here.
Okay. I mean, to me,
That's why my
look,
suggestion, our hope is.
I'm gonna be honest with you, it doesn't affect me, like she said, so I'm not gonna take a big presence in it. I understand that we're out of compliance and this needs to be
It
done.
needs to be done.
For us to
basically,
get back
that's
into
all
compliance,
it's
and I have no issue with it. I just wanted to make sure that when it came to drawing up a map or however it gets done, that it is just done strictly on population and nothing else.
Yeah.
Not on how you vote, not on registered voters,
Right,
not on
right.
what you make.
Right.
This is solely about population. To me, that makes sense, I understand it, and I'll stay out of it from there. But that's all I wanted to make sure, and I understand and I appreciate you guys taking the time to put us back into compliance.
So, with that, we have Mr. Bralich over here is a GSI proprietor in GIS Man Development. And we are probably seeking his assistance in
Yes.
helping us with this
So
decision.
George Leventis from Camel called and said, hey, we already went through this process and they were aware that we met with you guys and they said this is a very easy thing. call this guy. I said, well, he's already been to our council meetings, he did our CRA for us. So we're familiar with him, I had his number, called him right away. So he's, and I'll let you explain all this, but from what George told us, he'll put together a couple different suggestions for council to look at. And maybe at that point, that's something we can go to the public and say, and see if we get feedback from that way, but
So,
that's something
yeah, I just wanna say one thing,
Yep.
so what we need for you is for this gentleman to finish what he needs to do and kinda come up with a suggestion as a map for you guys?
Well, more's a map for
What,
us.
what
For us.
exactly
For us,
is the
but
Women League gonna
more
do
for
for us
us.
to do, to get this finished?
Well, I myself do, what Mr. Bridges does, he's most definitely more of an expert than I am. I'm familiar with his work, and I thank you for being here, sir. And, you know, I've created some maps here in Struthers as well, and it really is very simple. It's a matter of moving a couple of census blocks from, 4 to 3 and a couple from 2 to 1, and
Yeah.
you're good.
But
Right,
that could be a whole
But there-
street,
But there's a couple,
Sure,
but
but-
there are a couple options.
Yeah.
if
And
you
so
do the
I'd like
math
to
on
bring
this,
the
it should
residents
just
that
be
live
a
there
couple this way,
Right.
couple that
and
way.
kind of get their feedback on, what may be the best options for them.
Yeah, so they came to us
Three
to
we
make
gotta
us aware that we are not in compliance,
Okay.
we're
So
basically
three,
breaking the
you
law,
can probably
we're
add
so
on.
it's kind of
unaware
up,
of the
up to us on getting the
Yes.
task done.
So what we were talking about was working with John, having him put this together like Campbell did, and then maybe working with the League of Women Voters to whatever we decide on, bring that to a public forum and say, what do you voters think about this, and go from there, so give them an
So we
option.
do have to have a public forum
We-
for this.
We don't have to,
Two's
we
the
can vote
biggest
on
one.
that and send that right to the Board of Elections and it could be done.
Okay.
We don't have to, but that's an option to get more voices heard, and if they're adamant they don't wanna do this, if it's something we can look at changing if council feels necessary. But I think
So
that's,
what do you mean? If they don't wanna do what?
You gotta give some.
what do you mean?
Like you said, if they don't wanna do this, then we would
If
have to
we
look
have a
at.
whole street that is adamant that they do not wanna change wards,
We
then
can look at
maybe
other
we can
avenues.
look
Yeah.
at some of the
Oh,
other
other streets.
options
Yeah,
and
that's a
go
good
from
point.
there. So,
Yeah,
but
I
if
mean,
we
I
don't
don't
get
know
any-
that anybody would
Plus
really,
with keeping you guys where you're at.
Well,
yeah,
either,
we have to make
nothing-
sure you guys stay in
yeah,
your
I'm the one on the
ward.
cusp.
Yeah,
but plus it's a benefit to bring the citizens in and at
I'm
least
real
have a
close to like
conversation.
my line.
even if we had an
Yeah,
hour that
yes.
said, hey,
You know
we're
what I
gonna
mean?
come
Yeah.
discuss this,
Fair enough, and the people who care will show up and the people who don't
Yeah.
won't have to,
but if you
so-
have like I said, if you have like an uproar of a street that's like,
Yeah,
I
I
don't
can't be
wanna
out.
be in this ward,
Yeah.
then maybe we look at it and see if there's a different option, but I think I'll
So when we come up with the map, it's probably in the best interest to have a public hearing on it maybe, or?
I would-
Yeah,
that's up
At
to
least,
council, but I
at
don't
least
think
at a
that-
council meeting,
Post it on
yeah,
something.
something.
Yeah, or
And
have them
again,
come to a council meeting and say,
99.9% of people I don't think are gonna care
Right.
one way or the other.
correct.
The
I don't
1%
think
that
so.
are here, we'll hear what they have to say at least,
That's all.
you know?
But I want him, if you would explain what, we kinda did it for
She
you.
said the whole
Brian,
time you were gonna explain
I
it,
do
but all I
GIS.
heard was hear her explain it.
In case you didn't know by now. So some of you know me because I spent 25 years in Youngstown. I was at YSU, ran the Center for Applied GIS there for a long time and did a lot of this type of work out in our communities and yeah, especially in Youngstown. I have moved on. I went home to Hermitage, Pennsylvania. I took a position there, but I also started a sole proprietorship in Pennsylvania called GIS Man Development, and I won't get into the story of how we came up with that name, but I'll just say I wanted to be the geo genius and I wasn't allowed, so my wife struck that down. But I have you know, a little bit of experience with wards redistricting. I've done Youngstown, Gamble, working on Warren right now for about the last 12 years and counting. Just exchanged text with council person up there. They're ready to fire up the process again for about the 12th time. So we'll see if we get it done this time. But and then in Youngstown's we did in 3 days in 2022 because they passed an ordinance that they needed to have it done 180 days after the census data was released, and the council president called me on day 177. So that's a true story. It's not an exaggeration, and we did it on Zoom. And then again, as the mayor said, we did Campbell. It was either last year or the year before, which obviously a smaller town. So this is pretty easy. You know, I think you have 4 wards as well, right?
Yeah.
And I think Trevor did a pretty good job of, you know, the history of this and the reasoning, and, you know, they're an advocacy group, jeez, can't speak tonight. But they advocate for, you know, having equal representation, so that's all we're trying to get at. I will say, and I say this everywhere I go, I've you know, presented in front of a lot of groups like you and residents, and this isn't my plan. This isn't up to me. This isn't my call. This is your call. So, you know, whether you decide to do it or not, I mean, you can tell me to leave right now, and I mean, that's your call. I don't think anybody's going to come and be banging on the door tomorrow and telling you that you're out of compliance and, you know, fine you or something. But you do set yourself up for, I think, legal action if you don't do this. You know, that's just, you know, how I feel about it. But basically, my job is to, you know, as Trevor said, there's census data. It's at the block level. So the maps that you have there, each of those, you can see the blocks. That's basically a census block. And we have 100% count of people in those blocks from the 2020 census. So it's already 2026. So hard to believe that we're getting actually closer to the next census than we are to the last census. But you know, we can't get 2030 data in 2026, so we're going to use 2020 data. And you know, it is based on total population, and that's it. Honestly, there's not a whole lot else available at the block level anyway. Just, you know, some age data, race and ethnicity, which doesn't factor in. You know, but there's not a whole lot more than that that's available at that geography. So yeah, start with that, and you know, I just total up all the population in the current wards, and then from there we want to try to do 3 things. We want to try to get you equal population or as close as we possibly can. Okay, and there's some wiggle room because, like I'll use an example from Youngstown. There was, you know, between the 1st ward and the 3rd ward, there was a block where, you know, well, these are my people. We got these projects going on, and we're gonna. So, you know, we'll keep that in the 1st ward, and, you know, 3rd ward.
That 10% buffer seems like if we had to, we could. I don't want to say manipulate it, but we could a little bit.
Well, you manipulate the boundaries. Yeah,
sure.
We don't manipulate the data, but you know, you can certainly move the boundaries where you want them. What I do is I'll make a map where I get it as close to equal as I possibly can. And there's actually been a couple of cases where I've gotten it equal somehow, some way. But you know, it'll be really, really close, and it probably won't be the one you pick. Okay, so I'll tell you that right now, because there's that wiggle room, and
I think our concern too, honestly, is going to be more in the area of compliance, right?
Right.
We want to make sure that legally we're compliant in this.
Yeah, that's the number one thing.
More than, you know, if there's 100 deviation, that's only 4% at 2,500 on each one. I don't think we're that concerned with that. We're concerned with being legally compliant.
Yeah. So we want to get it as equal as possible, at least, you know, get it compliant. I want to try to change it as little as possible. That's another thing. Maybe most importantly, I'm not going to draw anybody out of the ward. Okay, so we got to, you know, we want to make sure that we don't do that either. So I'll have the addresses of the council people so I don't draw you out of your own ward.
And truly,
you know,
the council people on this side were at large. So for us, it doesn't really matter if we got drawn out.
It's not going to matter where you. Yeah, it's not going to matter
really
where you live, but just
to be fair,
the council people who, you know, the first, second, and 3rd and 4th ward council people will be the ones that'll be impacted. So we just got to be mindful of that we don't draw anybody out.
But you're right on the line.
I'm right on the line, yeah.
You're right on the line.
And that happens. I mean, if you live there, then we can't move the line over that way. You know, or there'll be 2 of you running against each other. So we want to avoid that. But other than that, I'll make a few versions that are easy for me to do. This is like a couple hours of work for me. You know, and then, you know, just, so, you know, I'll have a point of contact, maybe, I don't know if you're the point of contact or, who can distribute to everybody if you need me to come back, and, you know, if you did wanna have a public forum where you wanted to invite, you know, your constituents and to have a part
I
in
think we
this.
should, yeah,
You know, we
can
can-
have it right after the
Absolutely.
council meeting.
Especially the ones that are closer on the
Yeah.
border.
yeah.
And we can, you know, plus they give us you know, I can show up for that, and, you know, if anybody has questions, to kind of explain why.
You also
why
don't
we're
want
doing
people,
this.
you want people thinking that we explained this to them and we went over it and they had a voice in it.
I'm always in favor of
versus-
involving the public,
you know.
so, yeah,
Right.
you know, I think that's,
We
like
are too.
plan on 101
Listen, Mike.
is, you know, engage your stakeholders, so.
Yeah, I agree.
Is there a timeline on this, that we have to have this done
December,
5th,
right?
December?
Right, 150 days
Yeah.
before that next May primary, so it'd be December 5th.
So we got,
You
Yeah.
don't see
So
any
I'll-
problem in getting
Oh
that
gosh,
done?
no, I'll be, this will be next week or two,
Okay.
I'll have you some drafts and you guys can, yeah, if you don't like what you see, just tell me and we'll go back to the drawing board, it's not, like I said, it just isn't hard work. Just like Trevor said, I mean, there's freeware out there and sources that are, I mean, you can, you know, even do it on your end, but it's
A lot
pretty
easier
easy.
than drawing a congressional.
It's a lot easier than drawing yeah, city wards, yeah, are a lot
Can't even
easier,
work the hours.
yeah, exactly, so. But that's about it, I mean, unless anybody has any questions for me, or, that's my spiel.
And we can even,
Really?
once we decide on which map, we can, after the first reading, or after the second reading, or even after the third reading, cause this wouldn't be under anything under emergency, we can invite the public to all 3 readings.
Absolutely.
And that way
Voice
they
their
have
opinion, yeah, I
3
agree.
And we can,
chances to voice their.
literally, I mean, we could even put it out on the website that we're having this at this time, if you have a problem or if you want to address it,
right.
please come down.
Instead of having a public hearing, do that instead, or?
Then we can give them 3 chances to,
Yeah.
and it's after work hours. I
And
don't know,
they,
that's a-
and they would be able to talk under new business or unfinished business either, you know.
Oh, and I also, I'll do the boundary descriptions too, cause you'll need that for the ordinance. And that's, again, that's something that's really, really easy, but really, really tedious. I mean, that's literally like the starting at the corner of, you know, blah, 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 and heading south on, you know, in like every single boundary piece. But, so yeah, I also do that as well. So you have the map and then the boundary descriptions that go, that you could just drop into your, you know, whatever your legislation is.
And then you'll do the legislation, you do the legislation for us too?
I can, yeah.
Cause we have to provide it to
Yeah.
the Board of Elections so that they have it recorded before December, is that correct?
Right, and Mr. Britt,
Yeah.
do you also, because you'll have to split some precincts in Struthers.
Right, so
Will you also give those boundaries to the Board of
Yep,
Elections? So they'll-
exactly.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good point. And thanks for bringing that up, because, yeah, we'll have to send those, ward boundaries to the Board of Elections, and they have a GIS person that will then, you know, if they have to reconfigure the precincts. So we'll want to make,
Will those have to get recorded and stuff, or?
well, once I send that off to them, then the ball's kind of in their court, for them to do that. And then, you know, usually I only go back if I need the layer for some reason, for my work, but, that's their role, is to do the precincts, so, that's another reason why we wanna, you know, I wanna get done ASAP, so you can get this passed, okay, and then we can get that to the Board of Elections so that they have time, because I don't wanna speak for them and say that they can get it done, you know, in a certain amount of time.
And what is the league's responsibility after we get all this done? Are you just bringing this to our attention that we need to get it done? Okay.
We've brought it to your attention, and then also we, because one of our missions is to civically educate the public, we'd be happy to come and help and discuss with the open meetings why this is important. A lot of times when you get the public involved now, sometimes there are reasons why those constituents may not want to be in, they may have a block watch that's 5 or 6 blocks that they don't want split apart. Or, you know, the Canasta Club, that they don't wanna be in 2 different
Combine
districts.
the block. lots
Goofy
if they
things
need to.
come up when you're talking about small
Yep.
changes in neighborhoods. And we'd be more than happy to come along and explain why it's important and explain that this is not in any way tainted by partisan politics,
right.
or has anything to do with money, or, you know, male versus female, Republican versus Democrat, independent, whatever. That this is strictly done on a nonpartisan basis, and, that the ugliness is not going to be part of it. But we do wanna keep like neighborhoods together, and people who consider themselves to be a neighborhood.
Jeez, Rick.
Okay,
My hands.
do we have any other questions?
No, but thank you guys.
Yes.
I appreciate you coming in.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that to our attention.
Thank you.
And, thanks for coming to explain what you're gonna do for us, and, hopefully we'll get it done in a short amount of time.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Okay. We're gonna go into our legislation, you don't have to stay for that,
Okay, yeah, thank you guys.
okay?
Appreciate
You're
it.
more than welcome to, though, if you'd like.
Oh, yes, yes. Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you all so
Thank
much.
you. Thanks, guys.
Okay. So we'll get to our.
We're still under your meeting.
Yes,
Yes,
yeah,
still.
we're gonna go into the legislation here, we have, I believe, two pieces, or just, yeah, two pieces. The first one is from the Clerk of Council, Megan, and it is a resolution to send Megan R. Shorthouse, the Clerk of Council, to public records training and making the clerk the designee for representing all members of Struthers City Council and President of Council. This doesn't have to be brought out as an emergency, so we'll just, make a motion to
Make a
bring it up.
motion.
Second. So this will probably go 3 readings. But she always does a great job with it, so. And the second piece of, the legislation is an ordinance, from our law director. John, you wanna talk about this at all?
I received I started working on this
Do you want me to,
a
John?
few weeks ago. I got a draft that Dallas had prepared, and there was just some redundancy in what I got as far as Dallas had given to Megan to give to me. So I just narrowed it down, and this goes back to the closing of the responsibility of to check with the safety service director whenever there's certain streets that are
Okay.
blocked for construction, so.
And I apologize.
Just a little clarification.
I wasn't here last week to more or less explain that, at that point. But what we came up with was those same list of streets that we had, and we added some to them. If you are working on those streets, if you are working in the road right away, if you are working in an intersection, you have to get with Anthony first and see how to proceed on traffic control. The reason we did that, instead of just blanketing those streets, is to try to keep costs down when the city has projects there, and also the public utility companies that have projects there, because that is ultimately gonna fall back on our residents. So if you're working on those roads or in those areas, you have to get in touch with Anthony first and see how to proceed with traffic control.
Yeah, I think all of council was in agreement
Right.
on
Yeah.
how we went about
Yes.
this, so, and we got it down in
Yes.
a legal form, so.
Yeah, I think just
Any other
clearing up,
questions
getting-
involving this at all?
Nope.
Okay, so, I'll have, let's see, an ordinance creating number 305.13 of the codified ordinances of the city of Struthers requiring any person or entity performing construction or work within the city that necessitates the blocking or closing of certain streets to notify the safety service director that the construction or work is to be performed and to comply with any and all requirements that the safety service director determines to be necessary and declaring emergency. Before we bring out, you wanna have anything to say about it, Anthony?
No, I thought they did a good job writing it up, and I think it reads how it should, so.
Okay, all right, I need a motion to bring it out.
Make a motion.
Second?
Second.
Just clarifies what we needed.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm sorry that I put it all on you,
No,
but
you're good. No,
that's your spot.
That's your job.
Yeah, you know.
yeah. Sounds good.
Okay, so do we have anything else for this committee? Yes, Mayor has something to bring up.
I just was, given a letter, to extend our services for Republic. Our contract is up, I believe, the end of August, so we will have to enter into a new contract. So I have, everything, according to them, everything will stay the same, except for obviously the monthly charge. So I have a paper to pass around. Again, I wanna reiterate, I know we've talked about this before, we have a great relationship with Republic. If anyone questions that, they can call my office, we deal with Republic on a daily basis, and cost-wise, there
not
is
even close.
no one
No.
around here that is even close. I
We
wanna
almost
reiterate that.
found out the hard way last.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
We really did.
Well, they actually, Republic came through and said that we were kind of basically grandfathered into our
Yes.
policy.
Yeah,
Yes.
So,
And that's when we,
Yeah.
we
yeah,
met-
I
you can't
agree.
beat that,
No.
because some of the prices are outrageous.
yes.
we met with them, back in November and again in, January. So we stressed to them the importance of keeping everything how it is, everything with the recycle, nothing will change. The bulk pickup is still free. There are contracts that you cannot get that anywhere else.
What was
They
the
are still-
increase?
I'm gonna show you now, it's for, beginning on 9/1/26, it would go from 1581 to 1770. So it's pretty much $1 a year.
Yeah, right. You ain't gonna find a
which-
better deal anywhere else on the planet.
No, and they appreciate the relationship that they have with us. Like I said, Billy's on the phone with Mona 20 times a
They
day.
do a great job.
Mayor, it's been how many years since we've been under this contract?
We had a 5-year contract
Alright,
last
so in
time.
5 years, we're only getting a $1 raise,
Yeah.
increase.
Even
I mean,
at the
inflation has
end
went up
of
quite
that,
a bit.
Yeah.
so
That's-
in 2030, we'll be at $22 a month. Compare, like,
4 years from now.
call any
Right.
company.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I agree.
But not just that, there are some companies that are going, no touch. And we explained, we have too many people that have bags outside as well as their toters.
Right,
Right.
The recycling toters has been amazing, we still are keeping the bag service. So we do have a group of people that still use just the bags, they come here, purchase them from City Hall. So literally nothing will change except for that cost. So it's a little under 6% each year, which is,
yeah.
when you're dealing with, we're
The
going from
the bulk,
1581.
the bulk portion of it is just
That's
unbelievable.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it's just amazing.
Listen, I was the one before, he said, listen, we need to check this and we need to shop it out, and we did, and we know what we got, and we know where we're at.
We
And
went-
that's
Well,
it.
and they went the extra mile to keep us,
Yeah, right.
basically.
Yeah.
Weren't we close to switching and we didn't?
Yeah,
because of
yeah,
the
'cause-
bins or
No,
something?
we shopped it out, it just wasn't comparable
No.
service, I mean, for
We
the
went to
price
bid.
and what we were
We went out
getting.
to bid 5
we-
years ago.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
did.
And
It's
that's
been
why
5
we,
years.
yes,
Right.
so we're,
Get old,
so we
John.
asked for another 5-year contract. This would extend it till 2030, and he even asked what if they wanna go up further. But they said what they would do is a year extension on
Yeah,
that,
it'd
but
be-
they
So
have 5 years.
when do we
That would
need
be
to
too hard
act
for
on
them to
this?
predict.
So
Oh,
this is
yeah.
something we can go, we have to have it, that service
That
ends
was a good
so
question.
September, so we have to have this before recess. So if we get
Okay.
legislation ready and bring this to
And bringing
council,
out 3 readings?
bring it out 3 readings,
We'll have
this
it.
isn't something we need to do under emergency, cause the contract isn't up till then.
Right.
Right.
But if there's if anybody is opposed to this, or that we have to go out to bid, we basically have to do that now.
Yeah,
Because by the time,
I'm not opposed to it.
I would.
I would say, I'm
we work with a
opposed
lot
to
of-
going out to bid,
Oh,
I
that.
think, that- yeah, right.
what
yeah,
Okay.
I think our loyalty should stay
And they
with
do
them.
I
the
agree.
dumpsters at all of our places for free,
Yeah,
that's
Listen,
all of our,
if they haven't changed our service, which they haven't,
no.
then we should not
everything's-
send it out to bid, that's my
Right.
opinion.
yeah, I agree.
And the large collection
Especially for
item is a
$1
benefit
something.
exclusive to Struthers.
We know what we got with them.
So I can pass this, or I can make copies if you want me to have, I can have Megan make copies. I just got this at
Yeah,
Drake
I
Hawk,
mean,
so I didn't have
get
time
the
to even get it to her.
legislation going, and then we can get this,
email.
send this to bed.
Okay,
That's fine.
that works.
I'm
And I
on it.
have,
I'll
and
send
she's
it to Mike.
willing, they're what I left the
I mean, you're
cards.
just gonna file that paper
I
anyways.
have,
That's true.
business cards for you guys, that she said if you have any questions, she said I can even call her on speakerphone, cause she's going to Mass to get ashes, but
I think would be nice is to send out maybe a yearly calendar on when the,
Like they did
the
recycling.
yeah, they do,
recycle.
they post it
They
on
did
social
recycle.
media.
Yeah, I know, a lot of people don't.
Well, they said in the bills, they're gonna put another explanation of what can go in, what can't go
Okay.
in, and
And the
maybe we
bulk
can ask them to send some kind
Yeah,
of,
just a little thing, because a lot of people, I forget sometimes which is recycle week
Yeah.
and which
She
isn't.
said she'd even add in a thing for the bulk pickup, just to
Yeah.
remind people to call in.
Cause that's a certain day of the year, right? It's usually a week, it's Saturday, is it Thursdays?
It's Thursdays,
Okay.
but we could ask her for the schedule.
But yeah,
too.
I
They
mean,
could
some of the
attach on
prices for the bulk on the other companies was unbelievable. So, yeah, I don't think this is a no-brainer for us.
Agreed.
Okay, I'll get legislation, we probably have it from the last time. Okay.
Yeah, we'll get that ball rolling and then we get 3 readings in it and then pass it.
Okay,
Okay,
and I just have one more thing I wanna mention to
Okay.
council, thank you for signing those, thank you cards, I wanna get them to the library board, the immediate staff. I know it's silly, but handwritten thank you cards
No,
go a
it's
long way,
nice.
so
yeah.
your hand is fine.
Thanks for
It is
writing them.
fine. So I just,
Can we get
another,
rid of the fourth ward, just, I mean, at least the councilman in the fourth ward?
It's real nice.
as of 3:45 today, Mr. Sonchich was in our office, thanks to John, he got everything prepared. The family of Joseph and Helen Yelich have signed over their parcel to the city of Struthers for the library.
Great.
So we are.
Who they signed it off to, the library?
No, to the city of Struthers, so when they're ready, the board has to accept the donation. So it's easier for them to give it to us and then we give it to them. So it's still gonna be a donation from them, cause it was
Yeah.
at no cost, but that is officially signed
Perfect.
today.
Right.
Exciting news.
Yes, so we're moving faster than starting
I'm
in
gonna be
June,
down
so
there
we're starting now.
doing
So just a
library
little
stuff.
update.
Okay,
Good job.
anything else for this committee?
No.
Motion to adjourn.
Make a motion.